Hey guys, SFP here, and welcome to episode number 38 of my FIFA 16 Fulham career mode. And we have another three games here that are fairly interesting in this second season that we have here against Fulham. So far, we've been doing fairly well. We haven't been in the relegation zone, so to speak. We've been doing fairly well. I would even say that we are above expectations, or I guess I should say way above expectations at the moment. But I'm not satisfied just yet because this is the beginning of the season. And as we see in real life, as we now see we're 10th, which is not bad. We have a lot of wins. We have more wins than losses. That's a good thing. And obviously, I'm not satisfied yet because in real life, these smaller teams, especially those who just got promoted to the top flight, tend to start off fairly well, and then kind of just for those that do start off fairly well, tend to die down towards the second half. So sorry about that, guys. So the fact that I'm in this lead, I want to keep it. I want to keep going. Any win that we can get will be very valuable because I'd like to kind of settle ourselves in here in the mid-table region by the end of the next transfer window, and then kind of have at least enough wiggle room here to get any losses that I will foresee here. Anyways, as we see here, the starting 11. Again, this is fairly exciting. I'm doing, like I said, better than expected. As for the increase in difficulty, I might do that next season, depending on how well I fare on this season. Obviously, had I won first place last season, I would have definitely bumped up the difficulty level. But as we can see here, um, we still have a ways to go. We're not first, and I don't see us being first. In fact, I don't see us being in the top four. As we can see here, there was a slight deflection from our center back here. Excuse me, our left back here, Grimaldo. I don't foresee us being at that level. I foresee us maybe being a mid-table team. And here we have Christensen, the player who's going to leave us at some point because he refused our contract. He slots in the first goal of this game, and we get the lead in the first 13 minutes of the game, which is fairly well. It's I don't know what to say, guys. I'm in a good time right now. That's all I'm going to say right now. And so I'm hoping that this momentum that we've obtained throughout last video keeps going. And hopefully I can get you guys a couple of victories here. Fulham, I don't recall them actually ever winning the Barclays Premier League. I'd have to double check with a wiki page and see. But for those of you guys who know, please let me in the comment section down below. I don't think they've ever won, but I think they've gotten at least in the top 8, maybe or top 5 at some point. And here we see the attack here for Tomlin. And Tomlin makes a shot and it almost goes right in the back of the net, actually. As you can see there by the replay, it elevated. Had it been maybe a yard or two to the left, it probably would have gone in. But Kellenberg was there to make the save. Should that have happened? And here we have Wilson here, the captain, who has a shot of his own, and I don't think it's Wilson actually, but I saw Wilson's last name that I saw. He takes a shot in, and it isn't as well as the first one that we just saw. And here, yet again, after we scored, it seems that Bournemouth is really adamant of getting that equalizer, and that, my friends, is the last shot that they had in this first half. We get the victory, not exactly a sound victory. We did get the goal in, but ever since that has happened, it's been all Bournemouth for the rest of the half, so that has to change. And speaking about changes, I'm going to make a couple changes of my own, obviously the regular ones. Put in Kitchen, who um, has been not disappointing. He's been underspoken, and I think maybe that's just the fact that he's a holding midfielder, and so it's not as glamorous as any other position set-wise. But I think he's been gelling in fairly well. Um, and I have a tough decision to make when Parker retires as to who will be my next holding midfielder. Will it be Kitchen or will it be uh, Hindman? As we see here, Dembele gets a shot. It gets stopped, but the rebound goes directly to the feet of our second striker here, which I believe, well, actually, excuse me, our midfielder, Christensen, with a second goal here. And I'm not exactly sure what was going in the mind of that center back there, but it just goes Francis, yeah, Francis. As you can see here, the installed update for Arkham Knight, another game I play that I haven't played in a long time actually, and I've embarrassed to say that I'm only at I think 5 or 7%. It's a tough game. It's significantly tougher than any of the previous games. And here we have Dembele, who had an opportunity before, and he's not going to miss this time. And he triples our lead. And while we had issues in the second half, it seems. Excuse me, in the first half. Second half seems to be all ours this time. Anyways, going back on Arkham Knight, it's a tougher game considerably than Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. I feel like Arkham Knight, excuse me, not Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum is the easiest. Maybe because it's all settled in just an asylum, and so there's not a lot of spaces to roam. Then Arkham City, I think, is the second one. I've actually only beaten one of those games at 100%, and that was Arkham Asylum, and that took me a while. And here we have an opportunity yet again, this time for the opposing team, and I believe that is how this game will end, guys. We get a 3-0, very definite and sound result here, and to cement our spot, excuse me, in the upper half of the table here. And also, if you guys can see, this actually episode is really, really short. It's under 60 minutes, and I'm usually been good to keep it around the 20-minute mark because there's so many things to see. As we see there, Coutinho isn't happy that he didn't get the start, and I kind of blanked on that because I stopped in one of those awkward spaces where people request game time, and since it's the first game, I typically don't read or reread the email inbox here, and so I didn't see that until I got the notification saying he was disappointed not to start, which to be quite honest, he's probably going to be a little bit disappointed because we are trying to get the best position available here on the table. Because if you guys remember, we have some contracts that'll be ending. Some loans will be ending. I believe it will be Sandro Munir and the American Julian Green, and those will require transfer fees. Obviously, because we want to keep those players. And second of all, the while the transfer fees are set, the wages are not, and I'm assuming because some of them have actually gone up an overall on the overall stat, that they will be demanding a higher wage than the one they have right now. And as we can see here, with that win, we get into 8th place, and we're only 1 point away from the top 3, which is pretty amazing and really surreal. And I know some people are going to say, this is unrealistic, and I would totally agree with you guys. I think it's unrealistic, but this is a game, so I think unrealism you can throw off the window. I know a lot of people like to get the game realistic, but I don't because the whole point of playing FIFA is to have fun with it. And if you restrict yourself to certain moves, um, obviously that hinders on that. Although, by doing quote unquote realistic transfers, you do get some interesting pickups, and you kind of use players that you typically wouldn't use. And this is similar to, for those of you guys who play Pokemon, when you play Nuzlocke and you're forced to capture the first Pokemon you see in each route. That kind of makes the game a little bit exciting uh, because you use Pokemon that you wouldn't normally use. But like I said, the whole realism thing, I'm not gonna do it too much here. Um, and like I said, I already put a limit on how many transfers I can make per transfer window, and I think that in itself kind of gives me that notion of I can only spend so much. I can't go crazy and buy like 7 or 8 players off the bat because that's going to exceed my limit of 3 per transfer window. As we can see here, Hull City has only scored 1 goal, which is the worst in the league, and we are actually the best at not conceding. And so hopefully that will be the same case here. And here we start off straight off with Hull City's forward getting a great opportunity here, and it's an opportunity wasted because it was point blank range. He should have had it, but he misses. Instead, here we got S.Parker with an opportunity to curl one in the back of the net, and he kind of gets a little bit uneven here and just pushes or kicks the ball out of bounds. And here we have a free kick from Liv Moore, and we have a header here from Diami, and that header actually gave me a little bit of a scare. Uh, as we can see here by the replay, it was really close, although Coutinho looks like he had it there just in case, but that was a little bit too close for my comfort, and hopefully that will be the end of that. And here we have Taggart, who's trying to get the ball here. but of no avail, and that is how the first half will end a 0-0 draw. A little bit anticlimactic considering we just came back from a 3-0 win. But as long as I don't lose my away games, I'll be perfectly fine with that. Since going into the BPL, obviously my expectations have dimmed a little bit here, and I think that's to be expected because the teams are of higher quality, even though technically I'm playing with a team that I got promoted with. For some reason, Hull City seems to always pose a problem for me. I'm not sure why that is, because they're not exactly a world beater, so to speak, and I feel like I've beaten better teams than them. But for some reason, I guess they're just my jinx team or uh, my trap team or whatever terminology you guys use. Here we have Taggart, who cuts back. He's gonna cut back again. He has a shot. He goes for it, and the shot just kept opening wide, and it misses completely. Although it was a good effort. And was that a hand I saw with the goalkeeper? I'm not quite sure. But as we can see here, I guess there was no contact, so he gets a goal kick. Here I've been on this, and then a close range shot yet again from the captain this time from Hull City, but again it misses its mark. But yet that was a very, very close opportunity here. So far, I think the teams have been fairly even. We've had our share of chances, and so have they. And as we see here in these last dying seconds, I believe the ref will blow his whistle here. Yes, he does. And that will be the end of this second game, guys. 0-0 draw. So far, I have 2 clean sheets, which is tough to say for a. I don't think it's something common that an expansion team can say that they've gotten 2 clean sheets back to back. Although, granted, the quality of the teams that I face might be questionable or add some sort of question to it, but nevertheless, 2 clean sheets is always good to have. And hopefully we can make it through with the next game coming up after this training simulation. And no one grew an overall this time, although it looks like they're growing slower than usual, which is a bit of a shame, in my opinion. But anyways, we are going to the last game here, and the last game will be a Capital One Cup game against Mansfield Town, which, given our squad, we should win handily. But again, the games are not played on paper, unfortunately. At least for this case, unfortunately for us. But obviously, if we faced a bigger team, we'd want that not to be the case. But obviously, anything goes with these games, and so I should keep my eye open just in case. I don't want to get surprised by this team, as some higher teams have had. Anyways, guys, just a little bit of random news here, or I guess a commentary or kind of like a tidbit. I've just started watching Jessica Jones on Netflix, and for those guys who've been watching, let me know what you think without spoiling, obviously, any of the episodes. I've just gotten into episode 3. I'm watching it with my dad in Spanish, so that's kind of been a little bit of a nice get together, especially since Thanksgiving is coming up. And so far, I must say, I was a little bit skeptical of the show. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but so far from episode 1, I've been hooked. It's been it hasn't been the case with Daredevil, the other Marvel show. They had it. It took me till episode like 7 or 8, whichever episode had the Kingpin. That one is the one that hooked me, and it looks like Dembele hooked the shot here, and he will give us the lead here in the first 30 minutes of the game. Anyways, as we see the replay, Daredevil was really interesting for me because everyone kept praising it and saying they got hooked from episode 2. For me, it didn't get me hooked until I saw the Kingpin episode with Vincent D'Onofrio, and I think it was that one, the psychology, the method, the reasoning behind what made Kingpin, uh, William Fisk, Kingpin is what interests me and hooked me to the rest of the show. And obviously, in a Netflix format, they don't have to get you hooked early on because all the episodes are there and you can just basically run them down one by one, and that's a benefit to that. But like I said, so far for Jessica Jones, I've been hooked from the first episode. There's been a lot more excitement in that first episode than I can recall in at least in the first episode of Daredevil. As we make a couple changes here, and obviously they're the ones that I always make. So, Kitchen going in, like I said, Kitchen's been very, very exciting. But anyways, last tidbit here, like I said, Jessica Jones has been very, very exciting from the get-go, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store for the rest of the season. And enough about Netflix shows and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, I'm a little bit different with these commentaries. I like to uh, get a conversation with you guys going. And as we see here, a shot that was drawn by Sandro, I believe, a little bit too high to make any sort of danger for the goalkeeper. Like I said, I make these videos a little bit differently. I tend not to commentate exactly what's happening on the field. Sometimes I'll shoot in something soccer related, like Real Madrid having some sort of a press conference. And as you can see here, before I continue, Christensen has an opportunity and he wastes it. He completely wastes it, and Shearer, or whatever his name is, the goalkeeper, saves it very awkwardly, but he makes a save yet, which is all that matters. Sometimes there'll be random stuff like Netflix shows and movies that I've seen. And sometimes it'll be soccer related, like Real Madrid basically making a conference stating that they're backing Rafa Benitez, which I honestly think is a mistake. Never quite liked him, even in his Liverpool days. But anyways, guys, like I said, if you guys want to talk anything soccer, movie related, just shoot me down something in the comment section down below. And I'll leave you guys with these last couple seconds. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to stay updated. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at SFP Soccer Show and on Twitch at SFP Gaming. And check out my next video.